Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Wildgate. This is the game that we're having a look at today. Now if you're not across it, I do overviews on this channel. It's where I have a look at the first 2 hours of a game. It's a Steam refund window. I do have a spiel that I usually go through. There's a bit of an exception here today. I've put more like 3 or 4 hours into it, and you know, this is across a bit of a mixed start at midnight last night, leaving it till today, and then towards the end of my playtime, a mate picking it up as well. So we did a duo stack. So I got a little bit more time with it than I normally would to just give you this broad info. Also, we're doing a little experiment this month where I'm actually asking people to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. This is not something I normally do for all these years, but according to my stats, a ridiculously high number of people aren't subbed to the channel. And even just after doing it yesterday for yesterday's video, I got a huge influx of people subbing, which is excellent. Thank you. I wonder if that was just a one-off or because I prompted you, but we'll continue the experiment and I'll try not to waffle too much. So Wildgate, there's a few things we need to lay out here. It's a little bit tricky to unpack, but I will just lead with, I'm really enjoying this. I want to crack this nut. Like I said, I've got a mate that jumped on it and we both really enjoyed it, even though we're getting our asses handed to us the whole time. I know I've got a third dude in the wings that's really keen to jump on, and it's a 4-stacked kind of game. So I'm going to keep chipping away at it. However, I think it's important to put a video like this out now at this level because there are some barriers to entry, you could probably say. But without burying it, this is very much a mixture of something like Void Crew and Sea of Thieves, particularly the more arena-based sub-game that you could do in Sea of Thieves, which I never spent a lot of time in, and yet I really liked the idea of it. I'm not exactly super sweaty, but I don't mind a sweaty diversion, right? But if you're looking at this and you fear that it's going to attract all those players that will do, you know, Twitch, YouTube clickbait, tucking onto someone's ship in Sea of Thieves to sneak in, wipe out their crew and sink their ship and just sort of dumpster newbies. Yeah, actually, this does bait that kind of player. And so at its best, it's going to be an arena full of super sweats. And at its worst, especially during its teething period, figuring out what it is in the early days, there is a lot of stacks belting the crap out of newbies. And that's because there's been all these betas, it would seem, which none of this was apparent to me because this is a great example of how not to advertise and market your game. But look, I just didn't want to bear it. Yes, it is Sea of Thieves in space. It's kind of got Void Crew aspects. I really like the mechanics, and that might just be enough for someone to pick it up. So, 2 layers to even the review process and the reception on launch, right? What's becoming more and more apparent with Steam reviews, and I don't necessarily want to get too sidetracked, but there are people that sit there with their finger on the trigger waiting for a game to release to try and smash it with a negative review, negative discussions. There's a lot of bait these days, and it's made easier when your game does something that's a bit of a hot button topic. In this case, it is a paid full price game, albeit, you know, the lower end of AA, 45 Australian dollars. So, you know, in that mid range, but it also has like a shop, a cash shop. And from what I can understand, it is all real money, cosmetic crap. So, like I said, watching it real time at launch, it got absolutely smashed in reviews because people just wanted to pile on. Now, personally, I don't give a crap. I'm not going to buy anything in the shop unless it earns it off me, and I think most people are the same. There is this pearl clutcher mentality that you're not allowed to have both those monetization methods in a game. Like, it's got to be free to play with a cash shop or paid up front, but everything available within the game. I don't quite understand that, but I also understand that it's a pretty prevailing internet sentiment. So even me saying that I don't have a problem with it will probably earn me a bunch of pushback. But from what I could tell at the surface level, all of the game, it's fairly self-contained as far as mechanics and pay to win, as you would call it. I'm pretty sure anything you can put money over the counter for is cosmetic, and your ability to win is all contained within the game and within the loadout of the character that you create. So I think that was a bit of a nothing burger, but be aware that's some of the negativity that it's going to cop. On the other side, there's a lot of glazing. There's a lot of dudes jumping in there with 15 minutes on the game, but they played 100 hours in the beta and they fucking love it. Presumably because they enjoy stacking up with their mates, knowing the game better, and stomping the living crap out of people. And something like that is happening here. So the reviews that are coming in, it's very mixed to tell what's going on. But my anecdotal first-time experience, firsthand, is that you're going to have a whole bunch of people off mic, no comms, jumping in, and you have 5 ships of 4 dudes in one arena. and inevitably one of them's going to be a beta ship that's been dying for this, and I literally watched it happen in one match from afar while my dudes were looting. One ship went from ship to ship to ship and just fucking obliterated everyone, ate them, front fight salvo, and when it was our turn, we tried the front fight, we lined it up, and they just cooked us. They were out damaged just like 4-1, and at this point, we don't really know what else we could do, honestly. Anyway, look, I'm not trying to be down on the game or complain, but I feel like, as cool as this art aesthetic is, it's called Wildgate, but it reminds me of Wildstar, you know, this sort of Space Cowboys Saturday morning cartoon look. Like, everything about it's polished, it plays really well, the mechanics are really well thought out. Like, the ability to sneak onto someone's ship or attack their ship and board them, and then you overload their reactor, which doesn't really do anything at the immediate, but as long as it's overloaded, it's going to start fires around the ship, and those cumulatively are going to chip away at the health bar. So it's not like they can just detonate you with a bomb, not really, from Sea of Thieves. So it has that gameplay, but it's curbed a bit. So there is a lot of considerations around balance, I would think. But again, there's a huge river-wide skill gap between a 4-man of randoms that just really like this aesthetic and want to give it a go, just getting fed into the meat grinder at launch. And further to that, like, when I figured out this game existed, which there hasn't been a lot of coverage, honestly, not really. The developers were, you know, kind of cagey about giving me access, and I managed to get myself one key. And I'm honestly, earnestly, in my heart of hearts, I want to show you this game at its best. I want to make a 4-stack, but it becomes a bit of a tricky thing, you know, getting a stack of gamers together all on the same page, ready to play for one session to showcase it. So I never really got more than just the two of us. And I feel like, honestly, that's probably going to be the majority experience for most people. The game is kind of poorly advertised, not very high profile, a little gem that one of your gaming group's going to find. Then he's going to have to twist the arms of 3 of you in the group to buy this no profile game that is kind of overpriced for having no profile. Like a $5 indie no one's heard of is an easier pitch than a $45 fairly high production sweaty PvP type game. And so yeah, I understand that there's a really excited install base that have all played it for hundreds of hours in the beta and they love this game to death. But I feel like the developers, whether they meant to or not, have kind of put this game out to die in a way. Again, I want to chip at it. I really enjoy it, fisted as I was, but with no advertising, monetization that is going to be controversial, a humongous head start with the beta install base, and honestly, their almost barren marketing angle in the creator space. I feel like they've shot themselves in the foot a little bit. And look, apologies, I know for a lot of this video, I've kind of talked around the game, a lot of the moving parts, the incidentals, but also much of that is going to gate 90% of people watching this video on whether they're going to play the game or not. A lot of what I've already told you has probably made you not want to buy it, or at least wait for a sale, wait to get a bunch of mates together and then maybe get it on a sale, something like that. And that's not my fault, that's the game's doing. Though I will take a moment now to actually go into the moment to moment, because to be really clear, I think this is a really excellent game. It's not even a diamond in the rough, but it's more like a diamond thrown into the fucking wilderness in the bush where no one's going to find it. And this sort of sits squarely with their marketing side of the house, you know, the guys that came up with the business model and didn't really advertise the existence of this game. So essentially you get thrown into a 4-man crew, you can make a stack. It's very stylish. I mentioned Saturday morning cartoons. It's not quite that, but, and again, I use Wildstar as a touchstone. They clearly have drawn heavy inspiration. I don't see a link between the two studios. I might have missed it. Wildstar's kind of a bit dead these days. But I'm happy to see it because that game was excellent. As someone that doesn't really like MMOs, I really enjoyed that. And you get thrown into this fairly open world map, and ultimately you're trying to hunt showdown, find this artifact, extract it from a sort of mini raid. I commented to my mate when we were playing it that it reminded me of things like a little Vault of Glass, a little Destiny 2 raid or something like that. And then you want to extract it to the Wildgate and get out. Now, I haven't managed to do that. In fact, I haven't seen a map do that at all. I came really close. We got an artifact and we managed to get it right up to the gate, but then we got boarded and some dudes pinched it and then we got blown up. But just about every match seems to end with either my ship getting blown up, well, always with my ship getting blown up, but you see other ships people levers. I had levers in my match. There's nothing you can really do about that, and you just get really attrition stomped by the other squads. But I've seen ships kind of detonate as soon as the match starts. Presumably half the crew was fucking left without penalty, and the other half have given up because why waste your time? So it wasn't uncommon to see something like that happen. But let's just say, hypothetically, you've got a match full of even-based people, no stacks, no sweats, no early levers. You've got a good game of 5 ships of 4 players. You cruise around, you go to points of interest, which vary from actual little set piece, like I said, like dungeons. You go through, you fight them, they'll have a mini objective, put out all the fires, kill all the egg nests shooting out the aliens. The controls and the combat is actually really quite fun and clean. It feels good. And at the end you get loot. The way that you bring loot back and forth to your ship is so clean. Like things like Void Crew could learn so much from this. And once you get into a rhythm, each character that you pick, because it's more of a hero shooter in a way, but each character has like a fast travel, like whether it's a teleport or a tether whip thing. And so essentially, let's say you've completed a dungeon, you've gotten to the loot room and a door will open up and the ship's lined up well. All you really do is you pick up the piece of loot that you're going to bring back and you just hold the Hearthstone button, C in my case with a keyboard, and it sends you straight back to the ship. You plug it into a slot, like if it's a gun or something like that, or a booster. There's all sorts of cool little gadgets. Or if it's a resource like fuel or ammo or ice, which is used to cool your reactor, which in turn mechanically is to heal your ship. And you pretty much just dump it in, you run straight out an airlock and you whip back straight to the loot room entrance, pick something up, teleport back, and within 5 to 10 seconds you can do one of those cycles. It's really punchy and clean. Fuel seems to be used for boosting for the ship, and the pilot is locked in first person with very limited view angles, and the starter ship is quite cumbersome but intentionally so, and it's fun to maneuver. It gets bonuses for moving if the shields are down, but if you do a boost that uses up fuel from the general repository, and if you go over to the reactor you can hit a button to put frost on it to cool it down, which will heal the overall health bar. And again, as you take damage from other ships, it'll chip through your shields. It just looks so magnificent. You can get entire sections, the glass blown out where the captain sits and oxygen gets sucked out. And most characters need to breathe. There's a robot that doesn't need to, but like you pull out your little repair tool, you put out fires, you seal up the blown open holes. If you're on a turret, like this is what I've done to enemy ships to defeat them, is just absolutely pound the one turret that's causing you trouble. And eventually you'll chip through the shield and all that, and you'll just blow the prick up sitting in the seat or set him on fire or whatever. And so you do that, you effectively level your ship up. You don't level up explicitly, but you add little add-ons and bits and bobs and ammo and resources and again, fuel for maneuverability and ice for healing. And if you're quite stubborn, you can actually hold out a fair bit in what I would call a fair fight. The few ship battles where I've had where it's a bunch of elbows only dickheads like me, and the other ship is clearly the same, they were thrilling. They were the best parts. But you could tell when a stack of dudes came through and they have done nothing but played this game in pre-release for 6 months. And some of the quickest losses I had were just fucking immediate. They had just dumped you from all angles, shell the ship, run in, kill everybody, overheat the reactor, and it was all over. So how do you fix that? I don't know, man. Get good. In a way, I feel like all the newbies are going to get stomped and they're going to refund this game or not play it. Only the most stubborn. This is all speculative, but the hardcore community may well kill this game in the crib before it gets a chance to take off. Would you introduce some sort of hopper, some sort of elo or rank management, something like that? You can't do that to something with such a tiny player base at launch day. So I don't know what to tell you. There's a problem and there's no clear solution, but the outcome looks to me that it's a really cool concept of a game, rolled out poorly, not to repeat myself, and I think it's going to be to the detriment to everyone involved. Anyway, this is Wildgate. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you pick it up. Shoot me a friend request. I'm sure I'll get a wall of text telling me how I'm wrong from a beta guy, but we'll just wait and see. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.